So that's our funnies for the day. Carolisa, are you ready to do our demo? Okay. What do I do? Just say add?
Yeah, add to stream, I think.
There you are.
Oh, ready. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good.
I hope everybody else can.
I mean, I don't see any complaints yet.
I just want you to know I did not bump your Ralphie.
Okay, I don't know where it went.
I didn't see him.
I didn't see him either.
It's okay. I have to blame somebody besides myself.
You know what? I am really good at taking the blame. So we make a good pair. Hello, everybody out there. I have a special guest with me. You want to meet him?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of cute. Do you want to come say hi? However, he just woke up, so he's kind of
Oh, I love those post-nap snuggles.
Say hi.
He looks like he belongs.
Sweetie.
Yeah, can you say hi?
Hi.
And he's done, which is good because about 5 minutes ago when you guys started, I couldn't get him off my lap, and I thought, this is going to be really, really interesting. You're just having some snacks, huh? Oh, and he's just smiling at you. Huh?
And what's his name again?
This is Boston.
Boston, that's what I thought. But then I was like, is it Easton?
Well, Easton is my nephew, which is unfortunate.
Oh, okay.
I call Easton Boston and Boston Easton, and they are not the same. They are not the same kid. But he's been watching. He's smiling at you.
Oh,
Yeah.
his little hands.
He's a waiver. He's a waiver. Anyway, we are down here. I am kind of living with my son for a moment. Thank you, Alice. You're awesome. My daughter-in-law is in the hospital. Many of you know she was pregnant with twins, and she's lost one of them, and now she's trying to keep from delivering the other one at 24 weeks. So this Wednesday she'll be 25 weeks. And so I am down here playing grandma. But anyway, she's in the hospital like 24/7 for at least 4 weeks from now, when the baby is safe to come, and then they might send her back by then. But anyway, meanwhile,
You're just the best grandma.
Hi, Grandma.
Wow. So, I'll tell you what, though.
That's awesome.
It's really not so bad.
Well, when you have Boston to hang out with.
Yeah, you get to play with the little. They're always fun.
Yeah.
Although Mallory's like, I came to work to get away from that.
You know what? Oh, and
Littles are
you
really
guys sending prayers. I'm telling you, we've taken up a lot of prayers lately when it comes to this little pregnancy. We all were joking because we feel like she's been pregnant for like 2 years. But it's just been a really long few weeks. So, Yep, I'm here to try to keep everything as normal as possible. When we first found out she was not going to be able to even see Boston, which was really, really going to be hard for her. Can you imagine 4 weeks without your toddler? And so anyway, but the doctor changed it all up, and we go visit her every day, and she can meet us out in the courtyard and gets to play with him every day. So it's much, much better.
That's a relief. That's a relief.
Yeah, for sure. But you're here to see a demo. So I think I've got, a little bit of something. Well, we were talking about bullet journals, and of course I don't have a bullet journal. When you say bullet journal, what are you talking about?
Oh, oops, I didn't.
I think like the grid paper or with the dots or like,
Thank you.
Nothing fancy.
This is my not so fancy bullet journal.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I was thinking of bullets.
Like,
I knew what we were talking about until all of a sudden I thought, maybe that's not what we're talking about.
No, I think you're right on track.
Okay, well, I'm going to make you
perfect
the soloist here.
Oh, all right. That works.
There you go.
Well, you might just get to see this little guy while we do it, huh?
We can see what you're doing. That's
better anyway, huh, baby? Huh? It's like, this isn't as cool when I can't see Jenny and Mallory. So I thought, I thought it would be really fun to do a 3-at-3. Oh, I hope he's nice and good for me. I thought it would be nice to do a 3-at-3 on designing quilts. And I don't know if you guys are like me, but I have to have graph paper or this bullet paper everywhere. because I'm always using it. I'm always sketching up something that I think would be a great idea. So let's get started.
Okay.
I have with me something that I sketched out. So just basics. When you are deciding, there goes all the fish. When you are deciding to take on a quilt designing project, I don't know how many of you have done that or not. There's a few things I really like about doing it myself. One, obviously, you get what you want. Two, it is a lot easier to follow my directions than it is to follow somebody else's directions.
Definitely.
So I got done with my last project, and it was supposed to be 36 by 36 finished, and mine was 36 by 36 and 1/8. Woohoo! I could never do that.
Just means you
never
sewed it
do
a
that.
little bit.
What was that?
That just means your seam was just a little big.
Just a tiny bit. So anyway, so I like it for that. And I don't know, it's just fun. It's creative, right? So my last project that I worked on was for the fat quarter box. So for those of you who know, who are involved in our monthly fat quarter box, we have a free pattern that's included in those. And so I got to the drawing board, had to come up with something. I had a list of all the different fabrics that I would be needing. So that was really helpful in designing. So if that's something that you can get a hold of, to have the fabrics that you're already going to be using and then design from there is my tip number one. And then tip number two, I honestly just got started. I'm going to just lower this down a little bit, and you're going to see all of my kind of a mess things. I hope that, can you guys see that okay?
An actual quilt. So I'll be right back, but you keep watching.
Oh, that would be great, because I have a picture and it's great, but not like, fabulous. So that would be great. So when I first started doing this, I started looking up different fall symbols, and I knew that I wanted to do a sunflower. And I found this really cute pieced sunflower. And so I started with just the sunflower in the corner. And then it grew from here. And by the time I had the sunflower done, then I added these other blocks. And before you know it, I have everything. Oh, he wants my pencil. Here you go. Okay. I had all the rest of them all built out. It's really just, you can build from there. There's other ways to design, but when I'm designing something like a wall hanging and I don't really know for sure what I'm going to be doing, that's how I get started. So I started out with just one big page full of the sunflower, and then decided, okay, that took me X amount of, honestly, the whole size of this was based on the size of this block right here. And then it just grew from there. So the total finished, I was just using one block for every inch, and it was too small. So then I did an every 1.5 inches. So as I continued on with the process, then I broke up every block and made it a little bit bigger. And you can see after I got through, I should show you this first, I added the color so I could kind of get a little bit better idea as to what it was going to look like. So we've got the color added to it, and I don't mind coloring, so that's totally fine with me. But we got the coloring in, and then that's when I started to break up and then write down all of the squares that I was going to need. So this is where you start to break the block into units. I'm going to kind of just fold this a little bit so you can see it. On this one right here, I've got that sunflower, but you can see I have one big unit here, and then I have a unit here and a quarter square triangle on these sides right here, a full one here, and then just the same unit mixed all the way around. It's not as difficult as it actually looks when you break it all up. And then this big, huge square here, I just added little squares in and did like a little snowball corner in each of those. So when you break it into the different units that you're going to need, it starts to get easier to build as well. Hi, baby. Okay, so then I grew that out even bigger so it would help me count what I was going to need. So I could kind of tell. These units right here are simply one green rectangle, and then I added a corner piece of yellow and a corner piece of cream from the background and just folded those over and pressed them. So
instead of doing like 2 half square triangles, you kind of did a flip and fold. So you wouldn't have a same.
Exactly. I did a flip and fold. You could do 2 half square triangles too. You really could. The reason I did the flip and fold was also because the math involved seemed easier to me because I didn't have to worry about adding extra for the half square triangles. And I'll get to that a little bit later on how I figured out how I was going to work my measurements. So anyway, the same thing went round and round with all the different pieces. I went nice and big on the house and sketched everything out. La-di-da, right? We get that. Lots and lots. I've got a whole stack of paper here. And changed the design and went around in a million different ways. I use up a lot of that bullet paper. So anyway, let me show you a picture when I got it all sewn up.
And I have your sample here. It's not quilted yet, but.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I will, once I got one block done, I just built the blocks from there. So here's a picture of what it looks like kind of laid out and tentatively, it's kind of done. So this is a mixture of applique and piecing. And the reason I did applique in some of these places is, of course, I wanted the round shapes to go in here. I even pieced this little rectangular roof because I wanted it to go beyond the borders of the square or of the rectangle piece. And so I'll show you a little bit more about that. But I'll take that off. And then Jenny, do you want to go ahead and show what the finished?
Oh, I removed you.
Well, that's okay. You can always put me back on.
Okay, so I can never do this on the, I'm going to make you go away for a second, maybe. Myself. There we go.
Okay.
I'm not the brightest sometimes.
Oh, am I moving the wrong way?
Oh, I'm showing everyone my stomach. That's nice.
Yep, we got to move towards you. There we go. Hey.
Hello. Come up higher. So yeah, this is all finished, and then you added the cute little border. And that's it. You did a really good job.
You made it seem so easy, but this is just like pure talent to me.
Okay.
Like, wow.
It really isn't too bad. It really isn't too bad. So when I started to decide which blocks I was going to use, like I said, half square triangles are easy. They're a nice, good basic, and they get you lots of different design options. The one thing that, oh, thank you guys. You're very sweet. The one thing that I did not like doing was adding you got to go through and figure out what size your finished blocks are. And then, of course, you've got to add your seam allowances. And when you're doing a half square triangle, I add even more than normal. There's like this math. I was looking it up and I just like rolled my eyes. I wasn't going to go with it. And it's very precise, and that's great. I go 1.5 inches bigger, which I know is big. Every time you design in and you decide to use a half square triangle, I actually go like I said, a 1.5 inch bigger than the finished size. And this is because I end up using like a tucker trimmer or a quilt in the day. I personally use Deb Tucker's.
Those usually have instructions on if you want a finished size at this, cut it at that.
Exactly.
So you don't want to reinvent the wheel. There are good resources out there.
There really are. And I think I just threw in, I did the math on one of them and I did an extra inch, and I just didn't have enough to make it easy to make it perfect. So I'd rather cut a little bit off, but in designing it, you certainly can make it not quite so big, because I end up having a good amount. Hi, baby. I end up having a good amount left over, but I really like to get my half square triangles perfect. And the best way to do that is as it's
start big,
sewn and I don't have a perfect one until I cut it all down. So the bigger the triangle, the better that works. So on half square triangles, I did do them an inch and a half bigger. Now on pieces like I was showing you on here with a unit like this. Oh, I can't do this backwards. Here we go. With a unit like this one, it's like I said, it's a 3.5 inch by 1.5 inch green rectangle. And to create those snowball corners, all I did was emptied the entire thing of goldfish. I did an 1.5 by or 2 by 2 inch square. So I added an extra 1/2 inch for the seam allowance on those squares that go in each corner before I flip them. But other than that, I keep the width the same. So you don't have to add that extra 1.5 inches just to get that angle right there. You just add a regular seam allowance to it and keep that other measurement the same, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I figured it out.
Yay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I'm like,
Instead of, on here, there we go. Instead of cutting that an 1.5 inches bigger, because it's being attached to this green rectangle, this green rectangle is 3.5 inches by 1.5. So I did a 2 by 2 inch square of the background and then a 2 by 2 inch square of the yellow. You draw your lines down from corner to corner, and then you fold it over and you flip it and iron it shut, or iron it, and you've got the right size that will give you your 1/2 inch or your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Does that make sense?
it does.
And you've made it seem like maybe even I could do it, and
I swear.
I've maybe sewn I've sewn 2 full quilts my entire
That's
life.
all?
Yeah, I know. I own a lot more fabric than what I've sewn. But I feel like maybe I want to try this out. That sounds really fun.
And you should, because you two are both very I'm good at squares.
Well, okay, so maybe I've designed a couple projects here.
Yeah.
But I don't sew them. I let other people do the math.
Yeah. You let them take care of it.
Let them know, it should look like this. And then you guys just amaze me every time.
I honestly think that the math is what scares people away from it a little bit. And so if you can come up with that 3.5 by 1.5, I kept my measurements. There's only one square in that entire thing where I had to cut it 1.75 inches. Everything else is on the half or the whole. I didn't want to deal with anything more than that. If you're just starting out, keep it simple.
And I think that's what makes the graph paper so nice. Is because it kind of makes those measurements and that math a little more bite-sized.
And I'll stick with the pre-cut sizes 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, just because it's so much easier to design a 10 inch or a 12 inch block than a 7.5 inch block.
Yeah. I mean, this one, I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to do if I did, I had to go with every block was 1.5 inches, which I thought was going to be really not nice instead of going with a whole number, but it turned out great because by the time you add the seam allowances, it was good. So that's, when I drew up the first one and I did the sketch, I fit it on one paper. And that's why I went ahead and took each different element of that and drew it bigger on another piece all by itself. And then I wrote down as I went how many 1.5 by 1.5 bit blocks I needed and things like that. So that made it a little bit easier because I literally was counting the blocks just to make sure I was right. I never trust myself.
Then you have to make it just to make sure you get it right.
Right. Keeping all of these sketches in a special place because I would love to discover a whole box of
people's
that's
designing.
the tactile thing to
Definitely.
have.
Well, these have lots of scratches. So someone asked about the pattern being in one of the boxes. It's coming.
It is this month's Fat Quarter box.
Did we give you just a sneak peek?
Yes, we
Maybe
gave you
we did.
If you like surprises, we're sorry.
We're not great at surprises.
It is Sandy Gervais fabric. Dee had asked that earlier.
Yes.
Is it Adele in Autumn or something?
Yes.
The line? Okay. So it's a thing we just got in from Riley Blake, and Carolise has been working on this for a while.
I probably started sketching with it 3 or 4 months ago. I started gathering 3 months ago. Started gathering ideas, but honestly, the actual sketch up of it and it probably has been maybe the last month that I've been pretty but that was including, you know, the cutting it up and stuff like that.
Which is better than what I did last month, right? Where I waited until the day Cindy
was on me. She was on me. She's like, this has to get done. This has to get done. She didn't want to pull another Jenny.
Hey, mine got out on time.
It did. It did. And I still have some finishing touches on the pattern. It's one thing to do it yourself. It's a whole other ball game to make sure that everybody else can understand the pattern. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for sure. But if you're going to tackle the whole, hey, let's design our own quilt. I know that's how a lot of people get started, is they want to do a quilt. And I mean, my very first quilt was just squares. And I just sewed squares together and made a nice little design.
I didn't even know what a rotary cutter was.
I did. I didn't do a rotary cutter. I cut them with scissors. Yeah, didn't know.
I love that.
So anyway,
people are asking. You know what? I don't have a good answer for that, but usually with our subscriptions, we either release it at the end of the year for purchase, or it might be a little bit later. Like we haven't released the bowl fillers from last year, so it just depends on.
It's one of those perks for having the Fat Quarter Box subscription. So yeah, for sure. Although I'm like kind of on a kick here and I already have some sketches made up for the next season. So
well, if you want to do my October one or my November, it's all you.
Maybe like a quilt seems like too much for you, but like maybe just do one block and repeat it through the whole quilt. That seems totally doable. Like what you did with the sunflower. Granted, I don't know if I'm that like.
No, if you're going to get started, I have some basic blocks that are really good ones to start on, and I'll just kind of show you some pictures, and you can kind of see when you put those together how much you can get out of designing just one block and then just repeating it and repeating it and repeating it through all of that. So,
and Julie says if you use the EQS software, it does the math for you. That is true, awesome. But that's nice. Like $500, $700. You can get graph paper for $1.50.
Some of us maybe failed math a couple times.
Some of us that might be a little rich for my blood, but I can always afford a pack of graph paper.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
But that's why I deal, like if you have hard math, but a lot of times we don't like to cut. I've designed an EQS, they'll give you a 1 3/8 seam. And if I take that down to Cindy to cut, what is this?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't want to deal with that. And neither do I, right? That's when my seams start getting a little bit crazy. So let me show you just a couple of blocks that are really kind of an inspiration, and they're really nice basic blocks to go with. This first one is called, oh gosh, what did we call this? You'll know what it is. I wrote it down, but I don't remember.
Big so everyone can see you. Oh, no.
I'm gonna. That's big. Just click on her face right there. Nope.
Yep. And then you can just shout out if you know what block it is. So this one is just. What is it, Jenny?
I don't know. I want to say shoe fly, but I'm not sure.
That's it. Thank you. I'm like, it was a weird one and I can't remember. It's the shoe fly. So this one has, you just have your basic squares and then half square triangles, and that's it. The colors you choose help you come up with these different patterns. And actually I saw one that was done, and I don't know, have you guys ever seen the shoe fly disappearing shoe fly pattern?
No.
That one's really cool. You take that block and you cut it right down the middle on one side, and then you cut it across right down the middle, and you rearrange the pattern, and you come up with a completely different look. But that block right there is very, very simple, very easy to do. With that, I'm going to show you a quilt that has a bunch of other. Well, let's see. I'm not going to do that yet. Here's another one that looks really tricky, and if you break it down, it's not tricky. The very center block of this is called a card trick block. This very center one. What was that?
I said it looks like a card trick. Or at least the deck of cards band.
Yeah, it is. It's a card trick. And this very center one is your Hourglass Block, which is essentially quarter square triangles put together. Yeah, put together. And then this one right here is your one side of a half square, and then the other side is just another quarter square, put together. Quarter square on the other side. So it looks tricky, but you can design just that unit right there. And to get the measurements, this is one that I would add 1.5 inches to if I wanted to cut it nice and big and then trim it down. The Tucker trimmer ruler works really good for this. I haven't used the Quilt in the day, but I'm sure that one's good. And then your corners are simply half square triangles. So this is a good block one. Also, the churn dash is one that you can do lots of stuff with. And that is just your quarter and your half square triangles here in the corner, and then rectangles and your squares sewn together. So another one that looks fancy, but isn't really too bad is this sawtooth star.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now this one, let me ask you this. Jenny, and Mallory, do you guys use this? Do you use a, a flying geese ruler to do these? Or do you do the fold and flip?
I'll do flying geese.
Yeah, that's what I thought you would say. I did the fold and flip method. So.
Isn't that flying geese?
Probably. I just didn't use to be honest, I haven't done that many flying geese, so it probably is. I have not, I don't use a flying geese ruler. I've never used
I don't either. I just stick
ruler. So I just kind of, if that's what you do for flying geese, see, this is, I'm very novice.
I don't know how to, I'll do the Lori Holt method sometimes, but usually just rectangle, 2 squares, and fold cut.
Yeah. So then here's another good one. This is the Ohio Star. And it's that simple block that we saw in the card trick. And that's it. All they've done is added a border and a little corner square to it. And you can have an entire quilt made up of just this block.
Yeah, like what Mallory was saying, you could just design one block and repeat it.
Yeah, and you're like kind of making me think like you guys have been tricking me all this time. Like it maybe isn't this hard.
It's when you break it down into specific units.
Some things are.
Yeah. When you break it down, so let me show you a quilt that's made up of just Ohio Star, and they've just changed where they put the colors.
Cute.
I like that.
And it's just that one square, that's that one block, and they've just added the sashing in between and the little red corner squares.
And swapped their colors.
And then swap the colors. So you can design a quilt that way too.
That's really clever.
Yeah. Let's see. There's one more. I wanted to show you a quilt sampler that has a whole bunch of, if you look, you can see it's the same units of all the ones we've talked about. The only difference might be the top corner one has a pinwheel in the middle, but these are all very basic blocks. And you could take 2 of those and design and come up with stuff for that. So
for sure.
Anyway, it's when I get, yes, Janine says she likes using the Studio 180 rulers for flying geese. Yeah, I'm a fan. I need to get that off the screen. Hold on. There we go. Anyway, designing, especially something like this, is actually quite rewarding. It's really fun. And it's really not that fun. What was that?
I said if you give yourself enough time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just becomes trauma.
Well, and if I come across something that I'm a little bit like, ooh, I don't know if I can really come up with a pieced block for that, that's when I throw in the applique.
Yeah.
And break
I'm
the rules.
at piece blocking because I don't draw well, where you two would probably be master applique designers. So
yeah. Well,
thanks for being on with us.
You're welcome. It's nice to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
What was that?
Your face.
Yeah. Did I show you what he did to my table over here?
No. Oh, we heard it.
Let's see it. Oh, good job, Boston.
He just made himself a little school of fish.
Well, he kept it on the table. That's like the real
table.
Yeah.
Like miracle.
You don't have to sweep that up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That paper and put it back in. It's fine.
Yep.
You'll never know.
There you go. There you go. Anyway, I hope that inspires. I hope it inspires. Yeah. It's really not too bad. Grab your graph paper and just start drawing. And if
I'm
you can't,
kind of kicking myself because my first block or the first quilt we did in the fat quarter box, I designed on bullet paper, and I thought I had it in my backpack, and I didn't. So,
oh dang it! Yeah, we would have loved to see it. We would have loved to see
I don't
it.
know where I put it. It might be on my desk.
But we'd love to see whatever you guys can create.
Yeah.
Like tag us, send it to us. We'd love to see your new designs.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to have a whole big pad of that bullet paper.
Yeah.
You go through a lot.
If you're Mallory, like I said, I screenshot her face with what she was holding up so that I could make cute things too. She had cute little stencils, and this is how far I got. I did April.
Oh, cool. I love it.
Those are fun too. So if you go back and find our blog or our YouTube post where Mallory talks about this, like Amazon sells cute little stencils for this, and she had lots of fun designs because she's darling. Me, I just was really good at outlining and drawing on my lines, but they're a versatile.
Yeah, they are.
Bullet journals.
I just love that you can really do anything. Like this is such a cool tool for quilters, like to be able to keep your designs. Like maybe you're not going to sew it right now, but come back to it. And that's why I'm a huge fan of Kimberbell's bullet journal because it's just really usable. Got the spiral binding.
I love the spiral binding.
I was just going to say the spiral binding makes I started off with this one right here.
Yeah, see, like
I don't love it because
I have some leather ones that are
harder to design
as well. I mean, I love them, but they're just hard to open up and get to. Whereas these, you can, like, I actually use this more of a. If you buy our 1 yard or 3 yard bundles, that's the list of the colors we've had. Anyway,
so enough notebooks.
We're gonna say goodbye to Carolisa.
Bye, Carolisa.
Bye, Boston.
Yeah, hey, Boston, you want to come say goodbye? He's waving. Come here. Come say goodbye. Oh, step up. Step up. Oh, good job.
Bye, Boston.
Say bye-bye.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Later.
Be nice to your